our state representatives are trying to do on the state level. And I know that he's very concerned about student debt, the student debt loans that they take out. Now student debt is the largest debt that American families have. It has become larger than credit card debt. And it is a huge burden. The average is roughly $27,000 for students that graduate in our great state, but some have as much as $150,000. And it really hinders their ability to move forward and become productive members of our community. Ben is the kind of leader who will do a great deal for our community, and he will be able to take on the challenges and be part of the team that we have here on the east side, working for better quality of life, for more schools for our neighborhoods, and the Marine Transfer Station. He's had an innovative idea to have a pledge for any candidate running for office in our community that they will not support the Marine Transfer Station, but will support an alternative that will cost less, be better for the environment, better for the community, better for the city at large. He has the smarts and the skill set to be an excellent legislator. I am proud to endorse him for the City Council. I look very, very much forward to working with him because the federal government is so tied to city government. It's where our policies are translated into people's lives. I was a member of the City Council for 10 years, and I loved it. And one of the reasons I ran for Congress was that the federal policies had cut aid to the city of New York by 74%. We have reversed that. We're going to reverse a lot of things and bring a lot of positive change to our great city with this effort. So I'm very proud to be working with you.
I just want to thank the Congresswoman for her endorsement. The work she's done on a national level for credit card rights and changing the way we get our credit card bills is partially responsible for why people have less credit card debt. I'm trying to run a transparent campaign and make New York City transparent, but I'm not the first one to do that. In fact, Congresswoman, when she was in City Council, introduced the legislation and passed the law that created Vendex, which is the transparency that we do have on city contracts. And I look forward to working with the Congresswoman on student debt issues and equity for gender throughout the city, state, and nationally. At this time, I'd like to introduce Assemblymember Dan Court, who succeeded Assemblymember Jonathan Bing on the Upper East Side, and I was glad to get to work with him on his campaign, and he's already done so many great things in the Assembly. Without further ado.
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure and a privilege to be here to endorse Ben Kallos for the City Council. There are a couple of reasons why Ben is the right person at this time to be in the City Council. Most of it is what the difficulties in the city budget next year. And what we really need here in the 5th Council District is someone with experience and a know-how and understanding how government works to fight for every dollar for this community. The Congresswoman pointed out, Ben has formerly served Mark Green and my predecessor Jonathan Bing as Chief of Staff, so he has an understanding of how government works, which will be critical to him starting on day one. Also, his commitment, long-held commitment before he was a candidate for public office, about transparency in government. Very few things will be more important than next year in the city budget, and looking at each and every program and finding each and every dollar. That's what Ben's commitment before he got elected, or will be elected, will be. And he can certainly serve the entire constituency of the 5th Council District doing that. That's why I'm proud to stand here and endorse him, and while I'll be voting for him in November. It's my privilege to endorse Ben Kallos to the City Council.
I had an opportunity to work with the senator that represents me in the state on a number of projects without even meaning to. When Senator Pedro Espada became majority leader, led a coup and took our state hostage. It was one of the pinnacles of dysfunction in the state. I got to work with somebody else who's here named Bill Samuels, who will be speaking later, but at the same time as we were doing an independent effort to remove Pedro Espada and elect Gustavo Rivera, somebody else was doing something very similar, and she was working to get him elected as well. And that's State Senator Liz Kreuger. She's been a leader in the community and in the state, and I'm proud to have her here today.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm proud to stand here with my colleagues in government. Okay. So sorry. I'm proud to stand here with my colleagues in government to endorse Ben Kallos for City Council. You heard from Congresswoman Maloney quite a list of his accomplishments already in life. And yes, I have had the privilege of working with Ben when he was the Chief of Staff for Assembly Member Jessica, and when we were together in the Bronx, making sure that we had good Democrats representing all the communities in New York State. Well, that's our goal. We're not there yet. But I also wanted to talk about the fact that he's going to be filling very big shoes, and that's Jessica Lappin, who you'll be hearing from. And so, for all the work he has done on so many issues that were described so far, he will also discover, as a City Council member, that this is an incredibly activist community of senior citizens who need and demand better services and responses from government. He will learn, actually he won't learn, he already knows this, that affordable housing issues and concerns will probably be the #1 issue that comes to his office as a City Council member. And he will learn that working together as a group of elected officials in a legislative body, the City Council, and working three-level, congressional, state, and city, is a critical way to accomplish our goals. Now, the great thing, I think, for us, being able to know that Ben Kallos will be our next City Council member, he knows the state issues because he's worked in the Assembly. He knows the city issues, and like all of us have learned, when there's anything we need to do or learn about making Washington be more responsive to us here, we just talked to our amazing Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, and she directs what we all need to do. And so I'm very confident that when Ben wins in November, I will also be voting for him. He is my City Council member, will be my City Council member, that we will see a slightly new and changed, a little more male represented district, continuing to lead the way for the issues that our constituents care about. So congratulations. Thank you.
The next person I'd like to introduce, as Senator Kreuger already mentioned, has huge shoes for me to fill. Everyone on the Upper East Side knows her by first name and thinks she does an amazing job. She's been a leader in women's rights, has passed many of the laws that are helping women in our city, and I'm pledged and will continue to work on those issues and do my best to serve the constituency. Constituent service is #1. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Councilmember Jessica Lappin.
And I have no doubt, Ben, that you're going to do a great job. I'm very proud of Endorse you. We certainly need his progressive ideals and reform agenda down at City Hall, where I have worked on behalf of the community for 15 years. The seat definitely is turning from F to M, but as co-chair of the Women's Caucus, it really is. It makes me very happy that women's rights have been on the agenda. And you want everybody to discuss the issues, but after you win in November and you go in November, we'll work to make sure that happens. I have no doubt you're going to be protecting tenants and seniors, working to help build school capacity. So that's what we need. And you're doing a great job on behalf of all of us.
I'd like to now introduce a colleague who I had the pleasure to work with when I was Chief of Staff to Assembly Member Jonathan Bing. We got to work with a coalition of almost everybody here to launch Shop 2nd Avenue, which is a marketing campaign to support the businesses along 2nd Avenue when construction first started. And I think he's a progressive leader in the council, and I'd like to introduce Councilmember Dan Garodnick.
very strong support for you and for this campaign. We know that campaigns are not over until they are over, which is why we are all here strongly behind you to make sure that you take the ball and get it over the finish line. I'm not sure that's the right analogy, I think that's just a metaphor, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. One quick point about the council districts that we will represent together. There is a very strong history of collaboration between the 4th and the 5th council district. And I have enjoyed that over the past number of years with your very great soon-to-be predecessor in the council, Jessica Lappin, who has served the district so ably and so successfully. And when you think about the lines that are drawn between districts, they are really illusory. You are one side of 2nd Avenue or the other, or one side of Lexington Avenue or the other. They are mostly meaningless except for those of us who happen to know precisely where one district ends and where the other begins. So that means that I will be very honored to stand with you and work with you for whatever you and the 5th District need. And I know that you have demonstrated your commitment to this community over the past number of years. I've had the privilege of working with you. I know you have some serious issues in the 5th District, and I know even more that you are equipped, capable to be able to handle them. We look forward to supporting you in November and beyond. Congratulations.
So I'm going to introduce one person who is not an elected official, but he's been there for the birth of many careers. In fact, I believe he was your first finance chair. So I'm going to introduce somebody who founded the New Roosevelt Initiative to remove corrupt State Senator Pedro Espada, went on from that to fight for progressive tax reform and won, and is now focused on statewide issues like constitutional reform. There will be a constitutional convention vote coming up. He's been working with a broad coalition of Democrats, Republicans statewide on a site called Effective New York. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Bill Samuels.
Well, you had to have some old people there, Ben. One, really congratulations. You had a dream, you worked very hard, it was fun. As I know, I was an extremely capable lawyer. You could have spent your life making a lot of money as a great lawyer. And you decided to dedicate yourself to community service. For me, that best compliment I can give you. What you do here, dedicate yourself to our community. Now, Carolyn will tell you, even though I was your first finance chair, that I did give her some advice that was wrong. Want to tell her what it was?
Oh, goodness gracious. Right after I was elected to the city council, I invited my good friend Bill out for some advice, because I used to work for his father's campaigns and doing some other efforts involved. And his advice to me was, I'll never get reelected. Start looking for the next job. It's not in the cards. You're not going to be able to do it. But I went on to the city council and founded the contracts committee. And I love that committee because it's a fight to found it, because it has jurisdiction over the whole city. And so all the other chairmen fought it because they didn't want anyone to go into their area. So not only does it fight corruption and efficiency, it makes the city run better and allows you to go into any area you want with a public hearing. So I want to recommend that you do the contracts committee. It's a great committee. You can do anything you want. But I know you're focused on substance, and I'm so pleased about that. But while we're here and we have an attentive audience, it's not only important to elect excellent members of the city council, which we are doing today, but the speakership is up. And I think by far the most qualified person on both substance and caring about people is Ben Kallos, who is to be my council member. And I know he cares about people. I'll never forget during Sandy how he organized all of us to go through every single building to make sure that everyone had food and water, because many elderly could not move, and we were bringing blankets to them. And of course we know the room department is to give a solution that is fair to the residents and the people. That's very, very, very important in this type of situation. So I just wanted to plug anything else.
A great plug. Let me finish by telling you why I see Ben's election as part of a brand new movement to change the state. Assuming Bill de Blasio, who many of us backed early, becomes mayor, for the first time in 20 years, the New York City will have a really movement-based thinker as head of our city. For the first time, our Democratic Party, which does not have a movement-based leader statewide, okay, will have a mayor who thinks like those of us that were involved in the early days of change. So I see Ben's election and our new leaders in the city are going to have a tremendous effect, and it's going to Albany and fundamentally empowering women and leaders like Liz Kreuger, who stands sometimes absolutely alone. This is a chance for the city party to be movement-based and for us to organize and finally change Albany starting at the top. Thank you very much.
Last but certainly not least, we have former public advocate Mark Green. I had the pleasure to learn from him and work with him when he came up with 100 ideas for a better city, and those ideas were part of what we carried as part of our platform on a website that was very similar to his, where members of the community could comment, improve upon them, vote on them, and actually we've been getting lots of submissions. We're up to 29 submissions from the community, and we're hoping to only have more as we run an open and transparent campaign and hopefully have a more open and transparent government. So without further ado, former public advocate Mark Green.
Sorry, I came all the way uptown from Brooklyn with local stops only because of construction. Congresswoman, come on. I mean, who else am I going to blame? It's all true. I'm strongly for Ben, even though he just said something that wasn't true. He said that it would work with me that I came up with 100 ideas. Actually, he came up with 99 of them. He let me in the 100 keep my middle initial. Of that I was quite proud. So for purposes of today, please remember that I was a neighbor 7 blocks away for 22 years, enabled Carolyn Maloney. My vote, of course, was put her over the top at 70 or 80%. Again, I'm sorry I'm late, but look at the distinguished group of local officials around. They are testimony to Ben's specialness. There are 100 reasons to be for him. I'm here, by Bill Samuels, because I'm not just with support Ben. I've worked with Ben. I have not met anyone after working with thousands of people, as we do over the years in our offices, who has worked harder, smarter, courageously, and with more idealism. It's a cliche in drama. There's nothing new since the Greeks. The idea of a new generation of leadership, of course, Carolyn building we were. But life being what it is, some of the people behind me are, and eventually Kallos will be among the new generation of leadership, not only in this district, not only in this borough, not only in this city. He has exactly the background to be such a terrific city council person. He's worked his way to be the nominee of our party, and I'm confident he'll work as smart or smarter to be the next elected council member, and then a leader in the city for many years to come. Congratulations.
I am incredibly humbled to have such a showing of support and the endorsements of so many of my hopefully soon-to-be colleagues, and I think it demonstrates how strong a coalition the East Side has for it, and how closely all of us have worked and will work together to take care of the Upper East Side, make sure that we stop the dump on 91st Street, improve quality of life along 2nd Avenue subway construction, and improve education, make it affordable to go to school, fight these student debt that's plaguing so much of our country, and make sure that we have equal rights. So thank you all for your time. Thank you all for coming out for me and for the community today. And thank you. Questions?
On to victory.